Ginga ginga.
Hello everybody, Infernape Shinjo here, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Anime. And this is gonna be an interesting one, because if you can tell from the thumbnail, it's gonna be a little bit different, because at the time recording this, there aren't enough stuff that I could talk about for 3 separate topics. And while I could just include something that I want to talk about myself, an anime that you guys might want to watch, there isn't really much that I could talk about that I already haven't discussed, or something that I've already discussed before, like Tower of God that I've just finished recently, and God of High School, which I'm going to watch the first 3 episodes of eventually. But in a weird way, I feel like only having 2 topics in this video is going to be enough to make up for not having a 3rd topic. But we'll get into that later. So for now, I'm going to try and find enough stuff to talk about with D. Gray Man. I don't know if this is the correct poster for the one that I watched. I would assume so. I think there's like a D. Gray Man and a D. Gray Man Hollow or something like that. But I was streaming one time and somebody said, hey, you should watch this. Or I think somebody was watching it at the time. And they said, hey, you should watch this. Or I said something about it. I can't remember what. But I decided, yeah, I'll watch it. It's on Hulu. It's not hard to access. And honestly, that's where it gets tricky. Because where I have a lot more to talk about with the 2nd topic, I don't really have much to talk about with this first one. I've only seen the first episode, so that gives you an idea of all that I watched. All that I really watched about it, being the first episode, was about the main dude, which his name is... Crap, I can't even think of what his name is. I'll put a thing in, but for the time being, I'm just gonna call him Gray, because I feel like that just makes more sense. Just consider it a nickname, because I doubt that that's his real name anyway. But like, I was watching this, and I'm not going to say what's a pro and what's a con, because at the same time, I've only seen 1 episode, so I have no real room to judge. But like, I watched this episode, and like, going into it within the first couple of minutes, I figured, okay, it's going to be one of those shows that we look back on that's like super generic, that's just kind of like the norm with like edgy, dark anime. Like how Soul Eater and Tokyo Ghoul and stuff like that was. Because like, you got the demon aspect, you got the main character that's kind of goofy at times, even though Soul from Soul Eater really isn't, but like, you got those anime that's from the early 2000s, that's just like super dark and super edgy that everybody watches. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, it's just something that I noticed that's probably a lot more well known because it was along back when it was not really commonplace to see dark and edgy stuff like this. But at the same time, I went into this with no expectations. I didn't know anything about it. I knew it was a long anime, which, again, for anime back in the day, that's kind of the norm. At least from what I can gather. But like, I felt a similar thing watching this that I felt with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood when I finally got around to watching that. And I'll explain what I mean. So like, I watched this, and then when Gray comes in, whatever his real name is, I don't know, but the instant he started talking, I'm thinking, is this Edward Elric's voice actor Vic Mignogna? I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'll probably just call him Vic. But like, the instant I heard his voice, he sounded exactly like Edward in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Because I watched the dub of both of those, so that's the voice that instantly clicked into my head. Which, funny enough, it actually isn't Vic, it's actually Todd Haberkorn. But the first time that I heard that, it sounded exactly like him, or at least it did in my head. I might check on the dub voices of these 2 characters to see if there is a similarity, and if there is, I might play both of them back to back to see if you can spot a similarity.
He's been tricked again.
Don't shoot!
But like, overall, I watched this maybe like a couple of months ago, so everything's not entirely fresh in my head. All that I really remember is that there's this character called Moore, which, judging from the poster here, she doesn't really do much after the first episode. And if she does, then I don't see her anywhere on the poster. But, like, she was basically got tangled up in all this mess. And then, like, there was a father, a brother that she was taking care of, but then, like, he was already dead, you know, Omae wa Moshinderu kind of dead. But, like, after watching this episode, I'm just like, I felt sorry for her because she didn't ask to be a part of this. I mean, honestly, with the whole plot of Moore, her brother, father, whatever he was, and all this demon sort of stuff, which it's cool because I can see similarities between this and Soul Eater now, because like that demon sort of thing that kind of like made a bargain to make that guy a big old demon reminds me of the little red guy from Soul Eater. Not saying that either show took inspiration from either one, because at the same time, just because I noticed one similarity doesn't mean it's exactly the same. But I mean, when I saw the whole plot point of like Moore and the wheelchair bound dude, I can't remember if it was a father or a brother, but like I thought, well, I knew that there was something up with him because he just seemed shady. He just seemed sus. But like, I thought it was going to be something they would revisit like 20, 30, 50 episodes down the line. But no, they just mentioned it right now. And also, being an anime from the early 2000s, I actually forgot about this. Gray actually has a little pet, which I'm just going to call Mascot. Because let's be real, the only reason the mascot is there is to sell stuff. I'm not sure if they would have a plush. Honestly, I wouldn't doubt that they have a plush of it. But like, I saw that and I'm just like, of course he's got a little pal to pal around with. Because like every anime seems to have one like that. Except I can't think of any besides like Pokemon and Digimon off the top of my head. But like Seven Deadly Sins has that pig. So I guess some anime just need to have that mascot sort of thing. I don't know. At the same time, I don't remember anything about like the character of that mascot itself. I don't really remember like what any of them do. I don't know if they actually advance the plot in any way. And at the same time, I've only seen one episode, so I don't know. But from what I remembered, this show is pretty long. Although at the same time, it's complete. So that's kind of a thing that's like, do I watch it and actually finish it and get a satisfying conclusion or not? Because it might be one of those things that I finish all of it and then find out, oh, the manga's still going on like Hunter x Hunter, so it's not technically complete. And also, if I'm not mistaken, there's D. Greyman and D. Greyman Hollow, which is very interesting because I can not tell between this and Bleach at that point, because I know there's a concept of hollows in Bleach just because of the rap ciphers that I've reacted to. So I mean, I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head how long D. Greyman is. It's certainly not as long as One Piece, but like, I don't know. If you guys have seen this, let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you think it's worth me continuing to watch. So, I mean, I'm just stuck. I'm surprised I was able to talk about it for this long, but like, from the first episode that I've seen, the biggest thing that I can take away is that it's super dark, edgy humor, but at the same time, it's not really bothering me as much as I'm sure it bothers other people about it just being super dark and edgy. But let's cut that out and get into the real meat and potatoes of this episode. Pokemon Journeys. Now initially, the person that wanted me to talk about Pokemon Journeys only wanted me to talk about the Alola episode, which I'm still going to cover it in its own separate thing. But I'm going to take the first part and discuss what I like about Journeys as a whole, what I think they could work on as a whole, because I've never actually talked about Pokemon Journeys before. And considering that I've talked about every other Pokemon series up to this point, I figure I might as well just talk about it in Let's Talk Anime. So the start of Pokemon Journeys is pretty interesting because since Ash already won a league, it is kind of making you wonder, what's the next step in this? Because he's already challenged the league, so where else could they go with this? And obviously the next best step is to have a worldwide tournament that includes people that he has faced before. I mean, besides Lance and Karina, there aren't really any established people that will be coming back, but that's what's getting people's juices flowing. Because, like, you could have Ash face Brock, for example, Paul. You got all these different characters, and from what we've already seen in Journeys, it's pretty clear to establish that they love continuity. They brought back Karina. They brought back freaking Chuck, of all people. The gym leader from Johto. Although I guess before I go any further, I should mention how many episodes I've watched so far, because I know that this is going to be dated the instant that it comes out, because I'm recording it way before I'm going to be posting it. But the last episode that I've watched was the one where Go, Ash, Team Rocket did that raid battle with Zapdos. And the next one is the one with the Marsh Stomp and the Dovey and Pikachu one. I'm assuming that's not going to be doing much. But it's kind of funny that I'm discussing this before the whole thing with the Galar arc, as I'm sure a lot of people are calling it. Because it seems like a bunch of episodes in, I believe, November are going to be focusing on like basically the Sword and Shield plot, which is why I'm calling it the Galar arc. It seems like they're going to try and wrap it up in one episode, or a group of episodes. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but I don't know. But enough on the stuff that hasn't come out yet. Let me talk about the stuff that I like about it first. First of all, the fact that Ash is in a worldwide tournament makes sense because it's the next step up. It's not as big as like, okay, Ash, you won, now you're gonna face Lance the champion, Steven the champion, Wallace, Cynthia, although he could technically face Lance because Lance is in the series, but it makes sense that that's the next step up. While Go's just here, trying to capture all the Pokemon till he gets Mew. Obviously a little bit of an extreme goal, but props to him. And I guess before I go into specifics, I should talk about the two main characters. Ash, he's more or less the same Ash that he was in other series. He seems to be a mix of XY Ash with Alola Ash. Like, he's competent at times, but he's still goofy at times. And I feel like they hit that nice balance, at least in my opinion. Also, Ash's team. Let me go over it. Obviously, he's got Pikachu. His first capture in the series is a Dragonite. His second capture in the series is a Gengar, I believe. His third capture was the Riolu, which was an egg. And then his fourth one was Farfetch'd. Galarian Farfetch'd. So, it just seems like in this series, they're just like, they have a checklist of things that Ash got robbed of. And they're just like, oh, we did that, we did that, we did that. Like, I mean, before Kalos, Ash never got a Pseudo. Now he has a Dragonite. And honestly, Dragonite kind of fits on his team. Dragonite just seems like a mon that Ash would have. Because it's just a cool dragon, but it's also derpy at the same time. And Gengar. I feel like they did that just to slap Kanto in the face for Ash releasing his Haunter. I feel like there's no other reason that Ash got the Gengar, which, that's kind of cool. And of course, Ash getting Riolu, it makes sense because ever since Sinnoh, people were thinking, oh, Ash is going to get a Riolu, evolve it into a Lucario. He could get a Mega Lucario in this series, who knows? But overall, I like Ash's team. A little bit of type diversity would be nice because he has two fighting types on his team. But it's pretty clear that they're focusing on Riolu and Pikachu for the time being. Like, Farfetch'd, Dragonite, and Gengar are not getting not enough screen time. Which is kind of unfortunate because when Ash went to battle Bisky in the Vermilion Gym, Gengar actually got some shine there. And even in the Karina battle, he got a little bit of shine, even though Dragonite took away the battle. And obviously next, the second main character, Go. Go is an interesting character. I'm not sure how people as a whole feel about Go, but I think Go's pretty divisive over the community. Because, like, at the start, when he first meets Scorbunny wants to go with Go, but Go just goes over to him. I just realized I'm saying Go a lot. But Go walks over to Scorbunny and says, Scorbunny, I'm gonna capture Mew first, and just walks away. He would have been better off just slapping it in the face. Because it's just like, dude, Go, be realistic. You're not gonna be able to capture a Mew. Which, I don't know, could still happen. I don't know. But like, I'm sure that people do not like Go. I'm sure there's a small subset that do not like Go. Which at the same time, I'm sure there's a subset that people that do like Go. Honestly, I'm kind of in the middle because there are some times that Go is just like, I gotta capture this Pokemon. I gotta capture this Pokemon. Like, even in multiple episodes, actually. The one where Ash has his rematch against B. The one where Ash battles Karina. Go's just like, nope, we can't leave yet. Gotta capture a Pokemon. And I'm just like, Go, calm down. And I'm sure that Go means well. Like, at least he's got his goals in mind. But sometimes it's a bit too extreme. But I do like the dynamic between Ash and Go because it kind of reminds me of Ash and Paul from Sinnoh. That it's just like, Ash has his way of doing things, Go has his way. But slowly over time, they're adopting their own styles. Like when Go battled the Zapdos, or I think it was the Flygon. When in the episode he got the Flygon, when Raboot battled it. And Ash is just like, that's a bit of a crazy thing to do, Go. And Go's just like, I learned it from you. Which I like that they're actually learning from each other, which is cool. Although at the same time, it kind of means that Koharu is getting a little bit shafted in the development department. But seems like she's getting more interested in battles. So who knows if she's actually going to do anything in the future. I'd prefer for her to do stuff because I really like her character. And also Ash's battle with B. Now, pause if you guys are dub watchers only, or if you haven't seen Ash's second battle with B, I highly recommend for you to skip in the video because I'm gonna be spoiling it unless you don't care. But Ash's second battle with B, I like the way they handled it because there were 3 ways they could have handled it. If Ash would have won, and especially if he would have evolved Riolu into Lucario, it would have felt a little bit too soon, and especially wrapped up the arc between him and B a little bit quicker than I would have appreciated. He could have lost, which would have built up everything for nothing, but the fact that they drew actually is pretty cool because it establishes that they're going to have a rivalry in the future. Plus, I like the fact that Ash got another female rival. I know Bianca is technically a female rival for Ash, but I'm not sure how many people consider her a rival, at least not as much as B is. But before I go into the Alola episode, there are a couple of things I want to talk about with this series that I'm not a big fan of. And the first, well actually both of them kind of revolve around Go. The first one more, because since Go's goal is to capture every Pokemon, at least every episode involves him capturing a Mon. Even some episodes revolve around him capturing multiple Mons in one episode. And even though that's cool to see Go actually reach his goal, I'm sure it's gonna get tiring after a while. Even in the episode when Ash captures Galarian Farfetch'd, Go makes a big deal about, oh, I didn't get a Pokemon this episode. He doesn't necessarily say that, but it's just like, yeah, Go, you didn't get a Pokemon today. Weird. And the other big part that I'm a little bit hesitant on with the series is that there's so much that I've noticed that just happens in off-screen land. That's what I'm going to call it. Because, like, the episode that Ash rematches B. Because it's just like, Go gets a Chinchou, but we see it in a flashback. In that same episode, Ash says that Dragonite and Farfetch'd are going to battle, I believe, but we don't see it. It happens in off-screen land. There are a lot of things that I've noticed to happen in off-screen land. Like, Ash climbing up in the ranks to get before he battles B, it just happens in off-screen land. A lot of stuff happens in off-screen land that really shouldn't, because it's kind of important, and I'm wondering if that's going to hinder the show moving forward, because if we miss big moments like, say, Riolu evolves into Lucario, the next episode is a battle, and Lucario suddenly just has Aura Sphere, and Ash is just like, yeah, he has Aura Sphere now. What, you didn't know that? Let's jump back to the flashback. It just seems like they're kind of using flashbacks and off-screen as kind of an excuse to get the important stuff in, but they're missing some big important stuff as well. So, I don't know. At the same time, I feel like we could just call this series My Pokemon Academia, because the music is being done by the same guy that does My Hero. Go is the same Japanese voice actor as Deku for My Hero. And I'm sure that there are probably other similarities, but those are the biggest ones, so it's just like, this is basically Pokemon, but My Hero instead, which is very cool. But now on to the moment that you're probably waiting for a long time, the Alola episode. And honestly, overall, I would say it's a good episode. It obviously has its problems, no episode is perfect, but the thing that I liked is that it seems like things got spaced out decently, like even with a bigger cast, because even Alola itself had a big cast, then you include Go, it makes it even bigger. And it basically boils down to that some characters get shafted. Like Lily's only relegated to a flashback and a letter. Sophocles, Lana, well, Lana gets more screen time than Sophocles because Lana actually meets Go, which is a funny little throwback to how Lana meets Ash in the series. But just like Malo's just relegated to, hey, I make food. Kiawe gets the biggest screen time, I believe, out of all the Alola members. Even Kukui, Burnett, and their kid, they don't really get to do much. But overall, there were a lot of good references in there. Obviously, Ash's Alola Mons came back. They actually kept up with the continuity from the Lily storyline from the anime. And even seeing Team Rocket's Pokemon and Beware in the forest, that was cool. I'm sure there are a couple of other references that I can't think of, but I still appreciate all the references there. But the only other issue that I have, besides the larger cast making some people get shafted, at the same time, Kiawe has the biggest part in the episode, but he just felt a little bit out of character when he asked Go for a battle. Like, I get that Kiawe calls himself Ash's rival and whatnot, but like, the fact that Kiawe makes such a big deal about, you're Ash's rival, I gotta test you or whatever, it just felt like early Sun and Moon Kiawe, because Kiawe was always kind of hard like that, but like, he kind of mellowed out with all the big over-the-top expressions. But it just felt like he reverted back to his earlier Kiawe version. And honestly, that's not really a big issue. I feel like they could have easily just fixed it with having Kiawe have one big over-the-top expression at the end of the episode just to make things okay. But then, like I mentioned with Off-Screen Land before, Go capturing Alolan Exeggutor, which was the biggest reason they went there, was only relegated to like a couple of scenes, and that was it. I'm not saying they need to learn how to space things out better, but I feel like it would have been better if they would have had this Alola episode be 2 episodes instead. Have one where Ash reunites with everybody, maybe include the Kiawe Go battle, and then the next episode be them exploring the island, all these minor references, maybe even show off more of Ash's Pokemon because they didn't really even get to be shown much. But overall, as an episode, I really liked it. As a big Alola advocate, I really enjoyed the episode, but at the same time, I know that it has flaws. But series as a whole, I really enjoy Pokemon Journeys. It's probably not going to be my favorite one, although it's hard to tell since it's not finished yet. But I really enjoy it, so I don't know. I'll have to see what happens, because if they keep on continuing the rushed pacing, including stuff off screen, then I don't know. Overall, as a series, I like it, but they're just those minor things. And the obvious one, Go being a reference to the people that just play Pokemon Go. I don't know if they're trying to make Go be new players. I guess they are. But I don't know. out of the 40 episodes I've seen so far, it's a good show, but they just got stuff to work on, which they could easily work on by the time I post this video. But that is going to be it for this episode of Let's Talk Anime. Honestly, I think I talked more about Pokemon Journeys than D. Gray Man, which is pretty obvious, but that is it for this episode. If you enjoy, hit that like button down below. If you have any suggestions for stuff for me to cover on Let's Talk Anime, let me know down in the comment section. Let me know what you think about D. Gray Man or Pokemon Journeys, and I will see you in the next episode. Momentai.